Hello everyone and welcome to my Bammoth and Flox ranching tutorial. With the introduction of these critters in the Frosty Planet Pack DLC, a new and fully self-sustainable resource chain is now available. In this comprehensive guide, I will explain everything you need to know on how to set up a successful Bammoth and Flox farm that basically runs itself. First of all, let's have a look at the resource chain. We want to ranch 6 Bammoths, which require a total of 24 plume squash plants as a food source. The squash needs ethanol in order to grow, which we manufacture in 2 ethanol distillers. In order to supply wood to the distillers, we use 2 Flox ranches, inhabiting 14 Floxes. These will provide more wood than we need. However, if we take into account that duplicants will have to come along and shear the Flox's antlers, it's best to have some wiggle room here. The Flox will need a total of 9 pike apple bushes in order to survive, which in turn need phosphorite as fertilizer. 6 well-fed Bammoths excrete enough Bammoth paddy that can be refined into phosphorite at the rock crusher. And with that, the resource chain completes into a closed loop. So, what are the benefits of the system if it is fully operational? Both the critters and machines offer valuable byproducts during this process. All the Bammoths can be sheared for reed fiber and produce 1 Bamini egg every other cycle, which when placed in an evolution chamber, can be turned into meat. The Floxes will provide you with a small surplus of wood, some dirt, in addition to 2.4 eggs per cycle, which can be turned into meat as well. That means both farms produce around 15,000 calories of meat per cycle. Keep in mind though, because of incubation rates, this has a wind-up time of about 40 to 50 cycles. Looking at the machines, the rock crusher will produce clay and a very small surplus of phosphorite. The ethanol distillers churn out polluted dirt and carbon dioxide. For all the exact numbers, I will put up a cheat sheet at the end of the video. Now, with all of that out of the way, let me show you one possible setup for this resource chain. All the materials can be sourced from the Ceres Moonlet and is buildable without any sandbox tools, which I will use to make the showcase a little bit smoother. The frame of the big room will be 32 tiles wide and 19 tiles high, followed by a 1-tile ladder segment with also 19 tiles height, and a utility segment with 9 tiles width and 20 tiles height at the lowest point. It's a good idea to use a double liquid lock design of your choosing, because we need to keep the ranches cold at all times. I use ethanol for this purpose. Also, although in the end we'll be working in an oxygenated environment, I will use atmosuits to prevent the dupes from breathing out carbon dioxide and make it easier for them to work in a vacuum. We're going to start by placing in the skeleton of the building and vacuuming it out. For the floors, I use insulated igneous rock tiles to keep the temperatures more compartmentalized. However, regular granite tiles work just as well. The first part will always be 7 tiles long, followed by 24 metal tiles in the bottom ranch, along with some radiant piping. I use aluminum. If you don't have as much to spare, any other metal works too. On top of these, we'll place our hydroponic farm tiles, along with insulated liquid pipes out of igneous rock. The middle ranch will need 5 farm tiles, the top ranch needs 4. Then tile it to the end. To keep the Floxes enclosed, we put down doors with tiles on top and a stack of doors to the side. The utility part will be divided like this. I find it easier to work on it from the right side, so let's close it off. We'll need a standard aquatuner steam turbine setup. I fill the steam chamber with 5 tons of water and use nectar for the cooling loop, because any other liquid would freeze at our target temperature, or in the case of ethanol, is a terrible heat conductor. 6 transformers will provide the power lines to our machines. I like to use regular ones hooked up in series, but large power transformers work as well. Note that this is by no means a self-powered build, so you will have to connect to your main grid. Once the machines are in, the pipes, wires and automation primed, I like to fill this area with hydrogen for a better heat transfer. Then we'll close it off. As for the equipment in the main room, we'll need a grooming station, critter drop-off and shearing station on every level. 2 buffer liquid tanks in the middle and 2 ethanol distillers at the top with a gas pump in between. You will want to finish this room with 2 auto sweepers a conveyor loader that accepts polluted dirt, and a smart storage bin with an automation wire on a NOT gate leading out. Place down an exit rail and an incoming rail with a conveyor chute above. The gas pump will be connected to an Atmos sensor with a buffer gate in between. Complete the wiring and piping for this area. And seal it off like this. In order to keep the build concise, I placed the rock crusher in the top branch. However, you can also ship the Bammoth paddy to your industrial brick and reroute the phosphorite back here. Then we'll complete the cooling loop and fill the area with 2 kilograms of oxygen per tile. It's a good idea to turn on the aquatuner already in order to cool down the room while we are still building. The automation on the aquatuner is set up to cool once the nectar is hotter than minus 45 degrees Celsius. For the automation in the bottom ranch, we'll use 4 autosweepers that can reach every tile and an autoloader respectively. The loaders need to accept reed fiber, barmini eggs, meat, plume squash seeds and Bammoth paddy and will send their input to the top branch. The loader next to the rock crusher will accept phosphorite and send it through 2 conveyor receptacles, with the overflow leading into the exit rail. The autosweepers at the top can both reach the receptacle and the farm tiles, as well as an autoloader that accepts clay, dirt, reed fiber, barmini eggs, Flox fawn eggs, pike apple seeds, plume squash seeds and meat, leading into the exit rail. The autoloader in the top right corner will only accept wood, leading through a conveyor shutoff into the ethanol distiller room. Now you can hook up the automation wire coming from your smart bin to the conveyor shutoff and create an overflow onto the exit rail. Set the smart bin to 4,320 kilograms of wood. This is done because if all your floxes get sheared back to back, we need a buffer of wood supply in our ethanol distiller room. The autosweepers in the middle ranch will be set up like this. The left one can reach the receptacle and all the farm tiles, and the right one can load wood into the conveyor loader, leading onto the wood rail. The conveyor loader in between will copy the settings from the loader above. Lastly, we'll close all the gaps and are presented with 3 ranches. The bottom one has 96 tiles, enough for 6 Bammoths, the middle one as well, enough for 8 Floxes, and the top one 72, enough for 6 Floxes. In order to supply your ranches, you'll need 1 incubator continuously hatching barmini eggs, since they hatch every 33.33 recurring cycles, and Bammoths have a life expectancy of 200 cycles. For the Flox ranches, you'll need 3 incubators continuously hatching Flox fawn eggs. Unlike Bammoths, they only have a life expectancy of 100 cycles, and their eggs need 20 cycles to hatch. Unfortunately, the numbers don't add up as nicely here, so be prepared to catch some of the overflow. All that is left is priming the system. Allow manual use on the top right loader and the loader next to the rock crusher, and let your duplicants carry in some wood and phosphorite, until the smart storage bin and the conveyor receptacles are full. Set the Atmos sensor in the distiller room to above 4,000 grams of pressure and the buffer gate to 200 seconds in order to avoid having the gas pump turn on and off again every so often. Once the temperature is stable, the phosphorite is in place and you have some ethanol backing up in your tanks, you can sow your plants and introduce critters to your system. And with that, you can enjoy your fully sustainable and automated Bammoth and Flox ranch. If you have any questions, please ask away in the comment section below. As promised, here's the cheat sheet with all the numbers in detail. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time. Bye!